let's build on supporting other SMMEs so that we start to disrupt. Because the economy is in this room. It's not the narrative that we have, it's all the people that are in this room.
Today, it is slightly a different day. We are congregated here for an advent of an endeavor, the beginning of an initiative that will furnish opportunities for local business enterprises and inhabitants of the city of Ekurhuleni. And it is my greatest pleasure to welcome you to the launch of the Ekurhuleni Community Enterprise Development Fund, as approved by the Council of the City of Ekurhuleni on the 1st of November 2009, and this is according to the MFMA, the Municipal Finance Management Act, Section 67 in particular, which empowers the city to dispense some of these resources outside of the normal SCM in the manner in which this fund is actually structured. Ekurhuleni is a lucrative area of investment, and the city's focus is on the future, in which future planning is essential for widening of prosperity and preparedness for growth and innovation. It is an important economic hub within the Gauteng city region and is strategically positioned in the center of Gauteng. As elaborated in the Ekurhuleni's 10-point economic plan, the Ekurhuleni's Metropolis is the city's economic growth path, aimed at repositioning the eastern corridor of the Gauteng city region, balance the distribution of economic activities within Ekurhuleni, and create over a half million new formal jobs over time.
It is generally said that those enterprises where the funder actually takes equity, of course, they do more than just the monitoring of the debt. They actually do get involved in the decisions that are being made in that business. Would you say that is the critical part to the sustainability of the small businesses that you would fund?
Absolutely, Thabo. Just to use the example once again, the Fitula Transformation Fund, Economic Development Fund, that is the name of the fund that we are launching today with the city of Ekurhuleni. What the fund is going to allow us to do, so let's use this as an example. So let's say you come to the NEF, your total funding requirement is 30 million rands. Your enterprise is going to be domiciled here in Guatemala, Vosloorus, or Spruitview, or anywhere in the city. So what the NEF will do, we will use the 10 million rand portion that's going to be coming from the city as the equity portion in the transaction, because you do need what you refer to as patient capital. So that's your equity portion, because a lot of our black people, our black enterprises, they do not have collateral. So where do you get collateral from? So if you were a white-owned business, your father would have left the inheritance for you, so that if you were looking for 30 million, maybe your father or your grandfather would actually give you the 5 million. So what the NEF says is that even if you do not have the collateral, we actually assess the cash flows of the business. We want to assess you as Thabo, so we don't care where you actually come from, how much you have in your bank account, but we want to actually assess the commercial viability of the business that you are actually presenting to us. What is lacking in the country, I mean, truth be told, Minister, is this lack of venture capital or your equity type or mezzanine type funding. We always say there's funding everywhere else, but for black owned or your black managed enterprises, they do not have sufficient access to equity, to the equity portion of that particular transaction that we'll be looking at. Let me use another very exciting example of something that was presented to us yesterday by young people. I mean, it was mind-boggling. These young people are going to be domiciled here in Ekurhuleni. They started this business venture almost from scratch. They are in their 20s. We sat in that meeting. Initially, I thought I was going to sit for an hour, but it was just so mind-boggling. They are going to be producing acha. Because if you go to the supermarkets, the only acha that you get is from Koo. So they are now going to introduce competition within the retail, sector, where they have discussed this concept with the likes of Massmart. They are actually producing as we currently speak. So Massmart has come on board. There is Tiger Brands that has actually come on board. So all that we are required to do now as the NEF is to actually provide the necessary funding that is required. So thanks to the city of Ekurhuleni, we're gonna actually de-risk that particular project by now investing a 10 million rand portion that's gonna come directly from the city of Ekurhuleni.
There are serious unfair business practices that are in the country which we need to eliminate. But also when there are problems, SMMEs have to go to court to fight with whoever when the deal has gone wrong. It can't work because the government or big business have money to be in the litigation. So we are working on, we finalizing the bill on the SMME Ombuds service so that we can have a retired judge adjudicating disputes of both business or government and with SMMEs without being too costly to SMMEs and also without taking time to SMMEs. But it's a plethora of environments. The CEO of NEF mentioned the issue of there's lack of venture capital, but who must seed that venture capital in an environment where we can't? So we're saying whether as government and we've started conversations with part of the top 100 listed JSE companies on how do we get to facilitate the venture capital environment like what happens in the US and everywhere else that we do. We are concretely talking about a fund of funds with a mechanism of saying the enterprise and supply development funds of these large corporates, like she mentioned Massmart and Tiger Brands, comes in instead of them just earning BE points because they've ticked some boxes. That money can be monitored. It goes into a joint fund and we agree on a criteria how to dispense and who dispenses, how we do it collectively. And they can earn BE points with us being able as a country and the people in the government to point that XPTY Limited was funded, X cooperative was funded from this fund and this is what they're doing. Because when you do that, she mentions the Acha, and I'll use the Hosiame market that we, in Polokwane, that we own. Hosiame provides a very good market for SMMEs. For instance, there's Babala's Acha, a number of them, they're selling products in that market. But we have not made that market a provincial market, and it's owned by us. We need to grow it and make it a provincial market. Whether we need a partner, a private sector partner to run that market and grow it and make it better. If you go to any other country, if you go to Ethiopia, you go to Nigeria, the markets are big trading spots. Here in the townships of Ekurhuleni, I don't understand why we don't have markets where we can start to buy our own things. So that's the facilitation we need to do at both policy level and also
the idea is that if you run a spaza shop or you run whatever, that shouldn't be your final destination. Your final destination should be to run chain stores. To be, if you are a mechanic in the township, the idea is that you don't end up as a mechanic in the street corner. But the idea is that you end up running a big, company that is able to service BMWs, Mercedes-Benz, and so on and so on. So where we are is at the very beginning. To say, come in, let's teach you the basics, let's get you there. Once you're there, let's take you to another level. CEDA, for instance, which is one institution that is very critical. It's an institution that gives you what is called non-financial support, which is something that is very good when it comes to SMMEs. Everybody here, when you ask what is the problem, they'll tell you funding. But the reality of the matter is that outside of funding, there's other non-financial support elements that must actually come in. So for me, how I would answer you is to say, our final destination is that when South Africa becomes re-industrialized again, these young people that we are helping today, these archer manufacturers, must be able to be the big guys that are actually driving the economy forward.
So I thought it was only proper before we bid you farewell that we recap in terms of these funds, and of course encourage you as well as those that you may know to take advantage of this opportunity. It's a commitment by the city with its partners, the NEF and many others, to say for the next 3 years we will be driving this transformation program. led by the leadership of the city and the leadership of NEF.
I have no doubt that we will succeed, and thank you very much. And I hope that they explain to you that this is a facility for entrepreneurs. So use it. We've done everything possible to make investments here in Guatemala so that entrepreneurs here don't struggle. With those few words, I want to say thank you very much to the program director.
My name is Gilbert Musena. I'm the acting president of NAFCOC. We are very much excited to see this type of initiative where you have a city as big as Ekurhuleni coming together with the National Empowerment Fund to create a fund of this nature.
Today's partnership with Ekurhuleni, we are very excited as a fund that will be able to make an impact. We'll be able to support more businesses from Ekurhuleni. The fund basically will assist entrepreneurs with softer loans to make sure that their businesses are not under cash flow strain and they can be able to afford and be able to repay and then grow and create jobs for young people.
My name is Cindy Mabi. I'm the Media and Stakeholder Relations Officer for the National Empowerment Fund, a funder with a soul, and today we're here at the Guatemala Business Hub as part of the city of Ekurhuleni and the partnership with the NEF to have business loans accessible to entrepreneurs in the informal sector, hawkers and everybody or anybody really that has a brilliant business idea that is commercially viable. And as you can see, we're quite excited to share our product service offering with our colleagues here and potential investees. So we encourage wonke umuntu nje that has an idea ofuna ukuzenzela business yakhe, and especially in Ekurhuleni. I'm a proud product of Guatemala Springs, born and raised here, so it's good to see what the city of Ekurhuleni is enabling entrepreneurs to access much needed capital so that they can expand their businesses and also create much needed employment. So here we are at the stand at the exhibition of the National Empowerment Fund. My colleague Paul and Rowena assisting potential investees to learn more about what the offerings of the NEF is. It is really an amazing developmental financial institution that doesn't chase anybody away, especially if you want to apply for funding of 250,000 Rand to 75 million Rand. So we do encourage you to please go to our website, that's www.nefcorp.co.za. Thank you so much to the city of Ekurhuleni ukuthi nisenza abantu nasiphatha kahle. Inkosi.